water be your new best friend?
With Fred, it's an everyman. He's an everyman.
Right.
So we want Fred everywhere.
What's the formula for success? Who makes it big? And how do they do it? Join me as we follow the roadmap to the American dream. From the aha moment to a worldwide sensation.
Next, meet the bottled water named Fred. He's already got a friend in Donny.
This thing could be really big.
Really big, yeah.
And I think you position yourself against everybody else. Welcome back to the Big Idea Tonight show. Is for any of you who ever had a great idea gnawing at you, but for some reason just couldn't get it started and turn into a business. Well, tonight, meet the people who took the plunge. It's the folks just getting started, the ones who say, my idea will make millions. I'm going to be their consultant tonight, help them through some of their startup problems. And my next guest has a really interesting idea. It's a bottle of water that could be your new best friend. Adam Gaynor, founder and CEO of Fred. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hi, how are you?
So you kind of stumbled on your idea first. You had a little ad agency.
Yeah, we have a boutique ad agency. Started it in San Francisco. And I don't know if you've had one of these really bad client meetings.
I've had many bad client meetings. So what was the client that you had?
I don't want to mention the client.
Okay, so they
Major
told you.
Client, though.
You
But
think
we had
your
an
idea
idea.
sucked?
We had an idea that was a month in the making, and the client came in late, walked in, said, killed it for like the worst reason. It wasn't even a good reason, and walked out. And so we kind of went back to the office, and we were just like, wait a second, we have the creative, we have sort of the idea generation. So don't ask me how, it's non-linear, but we picked water. We thought water was boring, dull, mundane.
But the interesting was stuff that it's every ad person's fantasy. Well, forget the client doesn't get it. We'll do it ourselves.
Right,
we'll
right,
fund
right,
it.
right.
Okay, so what was the idea? How'd you come up with it?
And I have to thank my dad, who is a real entrepreneur, because the idea is what 10% of it, 10% of it execution.
Right.
So basically, we looked at water and we saw mountains and we saw springs and we saw waterfalls, and we just saw sort of the cliche, the picture of someone dumping water on our head and shaking it like that. So we thought, let's give water a personality. Let's make it approachable. And from there we went to let's give it a name. And from giving it a name, we thought it was just absurd. When the person said Fred in the meeting.
So you came up with Fred.
See?
Okay, sell me on this. Okay, it's funny. Sell me on. Okay, why it says Fred natural spring water? Obviously,
Right.
different kind of packaging.
Right.
Why am I going to buy Fred water versus the Evian, the waters that come from the natural springs, all this nonsense?
So what we did is we found great water. The water is actually more pure than most of these imports.
Well, so is tap water, but that's a different discussion. Okay, right.
Well, no, nitrate-wise, and there's chlorine in water.
Right.
So we found great natural water, and we wanted to give it a personality, and then that alone probably would have died, right? Like that's kind of
Sure.
right. So we wanted to dimensionalize the idea of giving water a personality, and what has changed in consumer habits in the last 10 years? People carry water with them everywhere they go.
So you gave it a kind of packaging that slips right in your back pocket.
Yeah, we referred back to the canteen, to the flask.
It's a canteen of water. I love this.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not. I mean, and people are like, some people are like just outright like, you can't do that.
But
You can't put water.
I mean, I look at this and I go, this is hysterical. But how do you keep it from not just being kind of like a fun novelty to legitimate?
Right.
People do take their water seriously.
Right. Well, so we get emails, we get phone calls from women, especially men, who put in the hoodies. It actually is functionally better.
Okay, so where are you selling this? What stage of the business?
So we launched it 1 year ago in New York City. So we ordered.
Give me the first pitch. You walk in, the first store you walk, because this.
They laughed at me. They laughed at me like one after the other. We had an 18-wheeler full of this stuff. So we were either going to have like a big hit on our hands, or we were going to have a lot of water to hand out. So I walk in, Hassan in the corner of Bleecker and Christopher.
Good old Hassan, right?
Good old
okay.
Hassan. I walk in and he laughs, but he gave me a shot. We put the product on the shelf and it sold like that.
You know what? I think it's the very thing I was kind of like challenging you on is I think the very reason you can sell it to the point where the Hassans of the world are going to go, I got it. This is just for nothing, just for giggles. Let me give this a break. And then the consumer goes through the same thing. And I guess also the positioning of it, correct me if I'm wrong, is this very anti-water. I mean, that's the essence of it. All people want bottled water, but it's kind of annoying all the pretense that goes with it. That's your point about the mountains and whatnot. So this is kind of like a little giving it the bird to water.
It kind of is. So it's definitely the anti-water. Now we have a smaller one for women to put even in.
I love this. So where is this being sold?
So we started with one store last September. Now we're in about 450 stores in Manhattan.
Just Manhattan?
Just Manhattan.
How do we scale this thing? What do we do? What are your issues? How can I help you, sir?
The question is, okay, here's the question for you. You mentioned it, sort of high-end price products. Like, we could have gone what I call stupid pricing at retail, suggested retail rate, like $2.50, $3, $3.50, and had like a nice little niche brand. With Fred, it's an everyman. He's an everyman.
Right.
So we want Fred everywhere. But is that going to...
But there's a little, like, you know, because bottled water is not every man product. I think what you want...
I think so. I think...
Well, it is still okay, but it's every man, but you don't want to be working class water. I think you want to be average price in the water business.
So what do you think?
But the reason to be is kind of the anti-water. Like I said, it's fun. I'd rather drink this than all the other kind of stupid waters. Not that they're stupid, they're all good products, and I'm not knocking them. They may be even advertised on a big idea.
Right.
So we've learned this. We've gotten older. We never knock any products. But what kind of press are you getting on this?
It's off the press and the momentum. We've gotten responses from distributors all over the world for Fred.
I mean, this thing can be really big.
Really big, yeah.
And I think you position yourself against everybody else. To me, a great double page ad on one side is you put the 15, you put the Evians and the Perriers and the this and the Poland Springs and this, and the other side just one bottle of Fred with a great piece of copy that says
Friend with benefits. We have friend with benefits.
Or something, Fred stands alone, or something that's everybody else. You want to position yourself, it's you against everybody. It's the underdog water. I mean, this thing can be really, really, really huge.
Oh, thank you.
Really huge. So how do we get more distribution?
Distribution is not a problem, but my question to you is, is the channels? Do we just go mass? Because we're getting...
Absolutely, man. Don't just, start with the specialty places where you are. And kind of take it one block by time.
But this isn't some, high-end brand where we're just trying to be exclusionary.
No, and you want to be, there's a difference between exclusionary versus thought leaders picking it up first.
Right.
So it's not a matter of high-end. I think, because interestingly enough, coming from starting with the bodegas on the corner is kind of fun also. It's everywhere.
Right.
So it's patina of kind of allure is the aspiration of every man, but it's still got to be aspiration. So it's not blue collar.
Okay.
So I think that's fantastic. Honestly, the only other question I have is, does anybody think the bottle, which I love the design, but is medicinal? You could look at it and say mouthwash.
Do you want to know something? Because you're in the field, you're picking up on something that we actually wanted a nostalgic feel, which was the kind of apothecary. Very few people pick up on that.
Okay.
They pick up more on the alcohol and on the canteen sort of association.
It's fantastic, I got to tell you, and I think the more people, obviously I would do giveaways with this also. I'm not spending you money, but the more you put this in people's hands, because that's going to be word of mouth. They're going to go, what is that? And people are going to start talking. So I would do giveaways with little small ones, as much sampling with this. Obviously, you and I both know water's not very expensive, so the more sampling you can do, I think the better. And this is the kind of thing I would send it to the Lettermans of the world. You want one comedian making a joke about this stuff. People are going to be rooting for you because people intrinsically, it bothers them that they're spending money on water. They do it because they're supposed to do it.
The anti-water, I love that.
I think it's fantastic.
One last question.
Yes, sir.
Line extensions.
Stay with this at one product. No line extensions, man.
I
One
agree.
product.
I just wanted to run by you.
Fred would not bastardize himself. There are no bastardized children of Fred. Fred stands alone. I love it. Adam Gaynor,
thank you,
founder and CEO of Fred, and I'm happy I can say, giving him the bird, because Will Stroud said so. It is startup night on The Big Idea. We're taking these $1 million ideas, we're blowing them up. Don't go anywhere.